There is no competition. If you as a man want to find the right girlfriend or wife, you have to refuse to believe in the idea of competition. Objectively speaking, obviously you're competing with millions of other men out there for a scarce resource called the attention of women. Obviously. But it does make sense at an individual level to believe in certain things based on bad or insufficient evidence just because it has utility. Sam Harris, one of the most famous atheists in the whole world, talks about the idea that it's a very bad idea at a macroeconomic or at a social and political level to believe in things based on bad evidence. And he has a lot of really good points for that. But at an individual level, you as a man, it does make sense, if it's right for you, to believe in a higher power, even though you can make very good arguments against it. And to the same extent, it makes sense to believe that there is zero competition because who on earth can compete with you? Now, obviously, there is a spectrum of too confident, which you could call narcissistic, and not confident enough, which you can call crippling anxiety or insecurity that will demobilize you from taking action and actually approaching and communicating your personality authentically and effectively. The reason I want you to adopt the idea that there is zero competition for you out there when it comes to communicating to the right woman, somebody who's actually compatible with you, is probably because you're over here. And it doesn't mean that you need to jump all the way to the other side of being a ridiculous narcissist, but can you move a little bit in that direction? Because I'll guarantee you something for a fact. Yes, women want a man who's kind and respectful, but they also want a man who's confident. And if you have to decide whether you should be a little bit more vulnerable or a little bit too confident, almost a little bit cocky while still being loving, choose to be a little bit overly confident because you can always calibrate with comfort later. In the realm of social dynamics, when it comes to creating a connection with women, there's only two forces you have to pay attention to: value and comfort. You are probably already really good at making women feel comfortable around you, being her gay best friend, if you will, being super nice and loving. But the problem is they don't necessarily see you as somebody who they want to be in a relationship with because the attraction element is missing. The masculine polarization simply isn't there. And it's important that you allow yourself to embody that a little bit. Now, masculinity goes way deeper than I could cover here in a short Instagram video. But at the same time, one of the aspects is being able to be overly confident, and to get there, you simply have to refuse to believe that any man could be better at you in any way, shape, or form. Just believe that in the moment, that when you're talking to her, there's not a single human being on the planet who is better than you for her. Now, this whole idea only makes sense, as flawed as it may evidently be. This whole idea only makes sense if we understand target audience. You are obviously not the best option for 4 billion women out there, or 150 million women in the US, 15 million women in your age group alone, but for the ones who are really compatible with you regarding physical attractiveness, personality and values, and intelligence. For those people who are in your niche, the ones who you really want to be with, those types of women who could have genuine and burning desire for you, for those, you are not a good option, you are the best option. Because what happens is, when you actually believe that there's zero competition out there, whether you're dancing bachata and salsa, whether you're in a bar, whether you're approaching during the day, whether you just want to build a connection on the date, if you refuse to believe that there's zero competition out there, it will make you more confident, and that in turn increases the probability that you will actually present yourself in a likable way to her. So just say to yourself, there is no competition. Who on earth can compete with me? And I know this is a very different inner dialogue to the one you're used to, because if you are a functioning member of society, if you run your own business successfully, if you have a good career, if you have a great job, then the only reason you've been able to get there is because you've been able to put your ego aside and analyze your flaws. You've been able to look at where you've been very concise in your communication, and you have learned that overthinking is actually a great asset, because if you're in a meeting with shareholders, business partners, employees, or contractors, it serves you well to think before you speak and to maybe be a little bit humble. That is a very good long-term strategy when it comes to the retention of relationships, or relationships for social contact in general. But when it comes to creating attraction, you need a ridiculous level of confidence. Mark my words, if you do not show up as a ridiculously confident version of yourself, sooner or later she's going to lose interest in you and she'll get a wandering eye. And whether she's going to cheat on you or not, at the very least, at some point, you'll get a text saying, you know what, I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm just busy. I want to focus on my career. What really happened is that you in your communication, you weren't confident enough, and she lost interest in you. That's what happened. So it's about time that you assume responsibility for showing up in the most confident way. And one of the ways to do that is to simply say, there is zero competition. So you have to learn to stop living in an antagonistic relationship with yourself. Most men, they constantly talk down to themselves in an extremely negative way. Their inner dialogue is heavily negative, and while that may serve you well in your career or your business, it immediately diminishes your sense of confidence. You need to create a positive relationship with yourself. You have to be your own best friend, because if you don't utter empowering words in your own mind, nobody else will do it for you. As silly as it sounds, if you don't speak positive things to yourself in your own mind on a day-to-day basis, you will come across as insecure. And that will have an impact on your business. That will have an impact on how big you dare to dream. Probably already limiting yourself in terms of what you can achieve in terms of your dating and your relationship life. So for example, I had a conversation with a client the other day, and he has children. And he says, the girl he wants to meet, the woman he wants to be in a relationship with, she has to accept his children. And I called him out on that. Do you really want her to accept your children, or do you want her to love your children and really be excited to support them on their growth? It's very different. And while you might call it a tiny little minute minuscule detail, it actually matters, because rarely will we get better than what we aim for. So when you write your list of must-haves, nice-to-haves, and deal breakers, allow yourself to dream big. If you are simply settling for a 5 out of 10 level compatibility regarding physical attractiveness, regarding intelligence, regarding personalities and values fit, that's exactly what you're going to end up with. But if you aim higher, the probability that you're going to start noticing opportunities that you'll then be able to pick up on is a lot higher. You have something in your brain called the reticular activating system. In other words, it's called your selective focus. If you are looking for opportunities to get offended in life, you will find plenty. There's plenty of people in this world, Wayne Dyer said, who walk around this existence who are simply looking for reasons to be offended. Whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. And if you're not looking for somebody who's truly physically attractive, somebody with whom you have the same values, somebody who is rather intelligent like yourself, the probability that you're going to end up with somebody is extremely high. Is extremely low, pardon me. So it's important that you set a high goal for yourself, but then you have to assume the responsibility to put in the work to get somebody like that. And 80% of success in anything is mindset. 20% is tactics and strategies. And one of the most fundamental things is to simply refuse to believe in competition. You are not a, but the best option for that one person out there. Go take some action. Put these tips into practice if you want us to help you personally find the right girlfriend, life partner, or wife. Apply for a free initial consultation call. Looking forward to speaking with you soon. Take care.